Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, November 25th, coming to you live here right at 11 a.m. Eastern, earlier for those on the Pacific, and a very fun conversation today, which leads into the biggest stories going on in this market. And that is a conversation around AI, robotics, physical AI, right? And kind of the embodiment of what's happening next in tech. I think this is very top of mind for people, especially as we see the current AI models getting better and better, right? And so you have kind of this race to the top where every 4 or 5 days it seems like there's a new model ranking above. So whether it's Gemini 3 and then Anthropic comes out with their latest, and you kind of have this shock and awe moment of what can AI do. But really what's going to take it to the next level is giving physical bodies to these different products, and that is going to be where they start making huge impacts as well into our daily lives. Tesla, of course, with Optimus and other companies across the board that we're going to talk about today. But it's a really interesting conversation, and it's cool for multiple reasons. One, it allows us to directly invest in a thematic, which we can see coming a little bit ahead of time, because obviously these robots aren't in our houses on a daily basis yet. And two, it's just cool stuff, right? It's tech, it's interesting, it's going to affect our daily lives. It's very cool to kind of hypothesize as to what it could do in our daily lives and how fast it could get there. So joining me today, Derek and Cole from the Crane Shares team. Two experts on this topic, going to give them each a brief chance to introduce themselves, and then we will roll into the deeper conversation. Derek, welcome back to the show. If you'd like to go first.
Sure. Thank you for having us. My name is Derek. I'm a senior investment strategist with Crane Shares.
And Gab, thank you for having me. I'm an analyst at Crane Shares, been here for 4 years. I support Derek in a lot of research in AI and robotics.
Perfect. Appreciate it, guys. I know, as always, we are going to be talking ticker specific here, specifically with KOID, KOID, and with AGIX, which is I just want to make sure I say it right, the Crane Shares Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF. So those are the two that we'll be talking about today. Just before we get into them, for those that are watching, all my investors watching here, please carefully consider each fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses prior to investing. The fund's prospectus and the summary prospectus contain that and other information about CraneShares funds. And if you want to obtain the prospectus or the fund or the summary prospectus, you can get them right on the website at craneshares.com. And please read them carefully again prior to investing so you could understand all of the items associated with these. For now, let's start your due diligence right here and talk about the latest updates here. So Derek, let's kick it off talking about physical AI. We've gotten some wild quotes from Jensen Huang and from Elon Musk. You won't have to work anymore. Money won't be as big a thing, right? AI is going to come into here. It's going to create abundance. What do they mean by all this?
Yeah, I think like now you have the trend like is very clear. The digital AI is now booming. And as kind of like the CEO of Anthropic said, like most of the white collar jobs probably going to be replaced at some time. Then now like Elon's vision of rolling out of all the humanoid robotics, and that's where have kind of like all the factory service sectors and all kind of like labor intensive blue collar jobs is at risk. You kind of see that trends coming, where in I think by 2030 that the job is going to be like the job market is going to be tough. Just like saying that, but like massive productivity gain across the big enterprises, then also like the business owners. I think that's going to happening, translating to higher earnings growth and equity market growth. But just on the society level, I don't think there'll be some rebalance happening because of that trend. Kind of like, yeah, that's, I don't know, Cole, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, those statements from Elon were absolutely crazy. Definitely attention grabbing. Saying that we will no longer need to work and we won't need money. But there's some truth to this, and I'm working on an article right now talking about viral moments among some humanoid manufacturers, and we've gotten a few in 2025 already. Obviously, with Tesla's Optimus Gen 3, they had their robot serving popcorn at the Tesla diner. People were interacting. It was a really cool moment. Tesla is also a portfolio company in KOID. Another portfolio company who is also a manufacturer is XPeng. Similar story with that EV background, kind of transitioning to humanoids. They had a viral moment when they brought their robot on stage, their next gen Iron. they actually had to cut it open on stage to show that it was actually a
I know
humanoid.
you're-
Yeah, which was because it was just so lifelike. And the Ubitek demonstration where they had that video going through their warehouse with hundreds of humanoids lined up ready for shipment in China for industrial purposes. So we've had a few viral moments here, and we have a couple companies already projecting deliveries by Q2 2026, like Neo's 1X. That was also a really cool video showing what it can do in the home. But they already started pre-orders, and I think a few others may have as well. So, you know, this opportunity is really escalating at a fast pace. And this was a long time in the works. I think Derek can probably speak to this a little bit, but the work that Boston Dynamics did a while back is kind of led to this moment as well.
Yeah, we have like Boston Dynamics in this industry for 10, 20 years, right? People talking about that, oh, it's like shocking. But I think now is kind of like a turning point where things are really happening around us, right? So we have seen like the kind of like unitary humanoid like ringing the bell with us. We've seen like running on Times Square, running on kind of like NASDAQ. That's like you seeing is believing, right? Like instead of like watching on YouTube, you kind of like can feel it, you can like test it, you can see how the real performance is. So that's game changing. I think like as you said, the Neo is coming to our home. That you get a chance that every consumer gonna test it in their like home, like doing dishes, like laundries and stuff. Like that's gonna be, I think, a pivotal moment for everybody.
Question for you. Why do you think that we're not there yet? Where, you know, Amazon has been using robots in their warehouses for years, right? They're being used on an industrial capacity. People would think, hey, having something wash my dishes, is that complicated? What do you think are kind of still the breakthroughs that need to happen to actually get us to mass production in, you know, daily users' homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, Boston Dynamics really helped solve that engineering problem. You know, making humanoids capable of moving like a human. But what the difference today is how digital AI is caught up. You know, these advancements in AI have really allowed for intelligent machines to be a reality. And you know, one of our things that we identified in our research for building KOID was what was the bottleneck for the industry, what was kind of preventing it from taking that next step. And it's really in the component companies, the costs of, you know, components going into these humanoids. And Derek, if you want to maybe expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at like Optimus or many other leading humanoid company, the total cost of the components pretty high right now, right?
Right.
Think about, like the total cost of manufacturing Optimus like Gen 2, the estimate is like $40,000 to $50,000.
Wow.
How many like actuators, like those models, sensors, reducers, encoders needed to assembling a humanoid, right? How many like company can enhance those like components super complex and expensive at this stage because like there's no economic scale for a lot of supply chain companies. So that's where we think if, say, Elon's going to make 1 million unit of humanoid by 2030, as he planned, you're going to need a massive, scalable supply chain solution for that. Same for like Figure AI, Aptronic, in China, Unitree, Ubitek, everybody. Like there's 100 startups ready to do mass production. Xpeng, right, is ready to do it. But when you have only like 1,000 unit per, like, I don't know, finger or like actuator
Right.
for the components, it's not possible to make it scalable. So that's the bottleneck, we think.
Yeah, and two things. You know, I forget who said it, but someone said that the critical materials that are needed and parts for a humanoid is 3x the amount
Yeah, the
required for an electric vehicle.
CEO of MP Material mentioned that like the demand for like rare earth, basically for humanoid is 3x, kind of like the EV. So it gives like where's the shortage right now, right? So especially we are in a kind of like more divided world.
Right.
The access to like those critical materials and is very important, especially for the future development of humanoid.
And kind of similar to the AI story, there's going to be winners and losers, and we're seeing a lot of these manufacturing companies that are taking an early lead. also really trying to vertically integrate in their own business, their supply chain. I mean, Tesla has some innate advantages having already mass-produced electric vehicles. I think they're planning production for their humanoids in California and then their Gigafactory, Texas. So that's a company that already has, this mass production know-how, and they may already have some supply chain relationships or in-house, producers to help them become possibly a winner in the humanoid race. We're seeing this in other companies as well, like I mentioned earlier, Xpeng, and they're all holdings in KOID. But right now, KOID's portfolio is really geared towards the component companies. We really categorize it in three buckets. Components, the brain, and then the integrators, the actual manufacturers. So we have a good balance of exposure in this to really give investors that complete exposure to the opportunity.
Question within there. So I agree, there's going to be winners and losers. When you look back over the last few years, let's say maybe less so than just AI, this data center push, right, that has happened, it seems like you do have some really concentrated winners there with NVIDIA, TSM, AMD, Google, a couple of others. But there's also probably a nice handful of those smaller companies that people aren't thinking of that get a lot of that CapEx, right? The cooling systems and other pieces like that. Do you think it's similar for physical robotics, where you're going to have 5 to 10 companies that really, take a ton of market share here, scale up? People are saying this is the play, but then there's all these, accentuating companies that do something like, oh, we make the freaking robot fingernails, and like nobody makes them as well as us, and like there's all these companies that get built around it.
Yeah, I think like is compared to data center, the supply chain or manufacturing like infrastructure side for physical AI or like humanoid is quite diversified. Like I think NVIDIA definitely there come like the biggest company with like strong pricing power. That everybody's gonna need that for accelerated computing in a data center. But like when it comes to if you map out the components of the humanoid, the actuators, motors, reducers, all kinds of that. Like you probably see those like crazy hundreds of components, thousands of like supply chain needed for the robotic. Like if you have seen that map, like I've seen like on Twitter, that's crazy amount of complexity involved. So this compared to where I think data center, the GPU is the core. A lot of value is captured by one company. This is very diversified value capturing. Yeah.
I think too, just similar to the AI, evolution. Just back to like the winners and losers. There's probably some names in this KOID portfolio that are, flying under the radar and can become a powerhouse in the industry as it starts to, actually generate revenue. I mean, just for AI specifically, I remember back in college, investing in AMD under $10 a share in my personal account, and just like the early thesis for that was just like AMD was producing chips more efficient than Intel, and the only real powerhouse at the time was NVIDIA. So I was like, logical next step, these guys are going to step up and fill a huge demand. There's probably some names in KOID that are going to have a similar story. They're in the early. It's weird because we're still early, but then we're also like almost at production and deliveries as early as next year. So it's a weird balance of like,
yeah, it's a weird balance, but like it's almost like when first smartphone came out, right? Like people shocked on how good a smartphone is going to change the phone industry, how the smart vehicle is going to change the vehicle industry. Now you have like smart robotics compared to previous like industrial robotics. So it's kind of like it's kind of like big moment, but like you have a long way to go before people see the iPhone 15 and 17 actually now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The first iPhone's quite different. I think it's actually a nice comparison, right? The first robots, maybe they'll have a home button. The 15th robot, maybe not, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get Siri right. You mentioned, Cole, that there are some companies here that could be flying under the radar inside of this basket, right? That people aren't thinking of, like an AMD or others, having a pretty strong knowledge of the basket. Let's talk KOID here first, then we could talk AGIX. We could do this question for both. What are a few of those companies that you think really are flying under the radar, but you're excited that they're in this basket because you see long-term potential?
Yeah, I would say RoboSense is one that I would love to point out. We spoke to their director of robotics recently, and what they do is they have a focus on lidar technology. So they're basically the eyes of the robot. They're allowing the humanoid to perceive and see its surroundings, and it's paired with that intelligence of being able to understand as well. But this is a company that just a few years ago their lidar systems were ridiculously expensive, like insanely expensive. And recently, they were able to get costs for their basic lidar systems down to under, I think, about $500. And the reason why I'm pointing them out is because we talked about the bottleneck for the industry being
Right.
that components are extremely expensive, and if costs are able to come down, it would make humanoids more of a reality, more affordable to consumers and on the enterprise level too. So this is a company that's you know done that already. They've lowered the cost of their product, which is essential to a humanoid functioning, in advance of this real takeoff moment for humanoids. So I think they're definitely an exciting company to watch in the KOID portfolio for sure.
And that's listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange.
Yes.
So is that one that also, I've talked about this before, people kind of have the benefit of maybe they wouldn't directly purchase themselves, but they get in this basket of goods?
Yeah, actually, like having basket that's really having international access is important for, I think, investors, because you don't need to open like so many accounts like in different countries to trade
Right.
like different markets. So using an ETF to have a basket approach to many like international markets is very important. Diversification.
Yeah, I would say especially in this specific thematic, which has really flourished overseas. And there's going to be a number of companies listed out of Hong Kong, right, and other areas that are doing quite well versus maybe I wouldn't even say even in the AI data center thematic, but maybe it's agriculture or whatever it is, right? Like people might just be like pretty good, pretty set with the US, right? Versus a thematic like this that I think that you do want to have more worldwide exposure and you want to have, of course, private exposure, right? And you guys kind of cover both of those.
Yeah, and this international exposure is extremely important. I know on a past webinar we showed the video of our visit to China where Derek actually visited a couple factories, but you have to really see it to believe it. Like when you have robots delivering food to your hotel room or serving your coffee,
Yeah.
like right now in 2025, it's really opens your eyes to, maybe there are some other major players outside the US that are hard to get exposure to, but you might want exposure to those companies. And KOID is definitely a vehicle that can offer that.
Yeah.
Have you had that moment?
Well, I've been running around with the Unitrees G1. We toured them around New York. We had them, on Park Ave, Times Square, the Nasdaq. I had my first work trip. I went to London for our bell ringing there for listening to KOID and USITS. We also had the robot with us, so that was definitely my eye-opening moment. It wasn't they are a Chinese company, so it was cool to see, but just the real capabilities and how people react to this, it's eye opening.
It almost kind of reminds me of like a kid and you're seeing the kid kind of grow up and then they do something and you're like, I didn't know you could do that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they say something and you're like, how'd you pick that up? Like I just remember like my nephew was like tiny, like 1 year old. And we were just talking about how, my brother was off at college and so he couldn't be there. And then the next morning we're all chatting and he's like, where's, Uncle Sam? And we're like, oh, he's at school. And he goes, no, isn't he at college? And I'm like, you're not supposed to be picking these things up. Like you're like one.
Yeah.
And so I'm like wondering, like, is there a moment with the KOID bot where it's like it'll like say something or do something and you're like, I didn't know you could do that yet.
Yeah, I did a race actually with Unitree. It's like then I was like, yeah, it's a robot. Like I should like outpace it. then I lose. So that's like a moment I realized, yeah, they run faster than human. Like that's like crazy.
Yeah, I would love to race against the Unitree's G1. I think I'd smoke it right now. But like we were talking about earlier, that there's going to be so many iterations and advancements in these humanoids. I think Tesla themselves said they want to already deploy 2 new generations by like 2028 or something like that. So they're trying to set a pace similar to the iPhone, where there's a new one every year.
Well, it's very ironic that you guys are saying that. Did you guys see? I don't know if you guys watch Mr. Beast, but did you see what the latest video on the Mr. Beast YouTube channel was?
I haven't. What is it?
What is it?
It was world's fastest man versus robot.
What? Well, did you watch it?
Yeah.
What was
I've been a bad Mr. Beast viewer. I haven't watched it yet. I've watched, as you can see, I've watched most of them.
I can't lie. I did watch it. The human did win,
The human
and I
robot.
believe there was a robot we might recognize on there as well.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to actually show for a second. Yeah, so they did. We tested if robots have overtaken humans as the top species with these experiments: world's fastest man versus fastest robot, strongest man versus giant mech, F1 driver versus AI driven golf robot, baseball robot. So that looks familiar. I see the head shape looks kind of familiar, guys. Interesting.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say there?
Seems like Yiddish. Oh yeah, maybe yeah.
I was gonna say it kind of looks like a Unitree here. Website I can share if you're trying to look there.
KOID.
Apologies.
Yeah, I hope. I mean,
Kind of looks like it.
I'm definitely more excited for the home application where I'll never have to do dishes or do my laundry or take out the trash again. I personally, I don't want to see robot sport leagues pop up. I'd rather definitely keep that human element for that space.
I'm sorry, but Rights for Robots has a really smooth ring to it, and unfortunately, I think they're going to see them picketing within not too many years.
Oh God.
Gosh, that slogan. Oh man. Okay, but it was pretty cool to see that he was already doing that. And typically Mr. Beast is not doing things unless he believes that there's gonna be mass appeal and interest from viewers. And that video has 45 million views in 2 days. So I do think probably a good time to reach back out to Mr. Beast from the Crane Show's end. Let him know if you guys need some more robots.
Yeah,
We've got them.
We'll have to look into that.
But like that's pretty cool, right? Like that is literally the biggest channel in the world now featuring robots, and so it's impossible to say that this isn't mainstream.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming sooner than people expected, I think.
Yeah, Evan, did you have any thoughts, questions you want to throw into the mix?
No, I think that was a good talk, and I think this has been a really interesting conversation so far. It was a good video. The video kind of showing, listen, it's still humans' time right now, but it's a good baseline for the next couple of years to go in and test it against. We've talked about this in the past. It just feels like everything is moving so quickly right now, and kind of how far out it is everything, how far are some of these use cases. And even since we've been having these conversations, there's been just new robots that people are coming in and getting excited about. This is a little bit more of like a empirical one, but I saw or less on the conversation here, less humanoid robot, but Disney even put out a little thing today that they have a robot for one of their characters that's going to be going around. It's like a little tiny thing, but I just think that like the precursors are here more and more for the humanoid robots coming in. And I've talked about how far out. I don't know how far out these things are, 5-10 years or a year or two or something like that. But yeah, the acceleration, the time frames, and yeah, is the thing that I am the most intrigued in this area, because it feels like an obvious next step, but the question is when.
Yeah,
that was a cool little video there. There's so many good questions here. Even one of the things you were talking about there, and in that Mr. Beast video, when they went for just like, we want the fastest robot, it wasn't a humanoid robot. It was one that looked like that. So it's like, is the humanoid form factor even the end game here?
Just real quick on the robot dog video that was just up. We learned from RoboStore, who's the official partner of Unitree in North America, and they actually saw the early use cases for the robot dog with firefighters, being able to hook up a high-powered hose to it, send it into a building, use LiDAR technology to kind of eliminate fires and help aid firefighters in their tasks, which was pretty cool. But I think the general story here is it's not by mistake that humanoids are taking the shape of humans. We have a lot of infrastructure already in place that would cost a lot of money to adjust to cater to a different form factor. The easiest thing, the most logical thing is just make something that moves and can perform tasks like a human, and you can plug them right into a lot of places in society today.
Yeah, I mean, like think about like although like a lot of topics about like humanoid, but like the embodied intelligence or like embodied AI is beyond that, right? Like you have like dog shape, like quadruped, but like you could like combine like a human hand with like a wheels, right? Like you can like in different like scenarios, like environment, you might have like better cost efficient way to do it, like in factories, right? If you just need assembly, right? You probably don't need two legs. So that's kind of like the perfect example. But like in some environment, for like you have to like do go upstairs, like you probably want like legs to work in the home, like in your like second floor. So those things are reasonable, right? Like I think it's like the engineers, the business owners, CEOs, I think all like that, right? Like, so what's the most effective way or profitable way to design the robotic in a modern era now?
That's definitely a great point too. Just like in our AI story for AGIX, how we have the application bucket last. As we see advancements, there's going to be very unique applications, niche applications for robotics, embodied AI. We're seeing very high level targets right now. One company's, I want to make a robot for the home. Another's, I want a robot for factories. But just like in our AGIX fund, as robotics advances, there's going to be very niche applications that pop up and a lot of opportunities for companies to take advantage of that.
Got it. How would you guys like to, real quick? It is a Unitree H1 confirmed inside the Mr. Beast video.
Okay.
Do you guys want to watch the race real quick?
Pull it up.
Yeah.
All right. For those watching at home, let's see what we can do here.
World versus not just one, but 3 robots, each increasing in speed. They will run a simple 50-meter dash. If Noah somehow manages to win against all 3 robots, he will score the tie-breaking point for humanity. But if even one robot beats him in a race, the robots get a point, and us humans are obsolete. Up first is the Unitree G1, a robot so athletic it can balance, flip, and even fight.
Let's roll.
Let's get it. All right, you want me to hold your medals for you?
Thank you, sir. Might be a little heavier than you think. Be careful.
Oh my God. Are these actual gold? All right, race number 1. Let's see if Noah can win all 3. Ready, set, go, go, robot, run, go, run. Dude, that's not even close. I can beat this robot, and I'm slow as heck. But these next 2 robots Noah's about to race are way faster. The robot's still running.
And then
Unitree H1. It won multiple medals at the 2025 World Humanoid Robot Games, making it the fastest robot on 2 legs. So, what's it like looking over there and not seeing another sprinter?
I mean, isn't that how all my races go?
Oh my God. All right, race number 2. It could all end here. H1, are you ready? Noah, are you ready?
Let's go!
Set. Go, robot, go! H1, go, run! Oh my goodness! He's blowing the robot out of the water. Oh, it's not even close.
okay, not terrible for H1. G1 took a second to get out of there.
Yeah, I think they should have given him a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, I would say the G1 I'm running against is much faster. I think like they keep upgrading the operating system, the software. So like each upgrade is like running more smoother. It's like you can see that like improvement.
Well,
like,
that's
every week almost.
that's the whole like sale. So right now I don't know if you guys have seen the company Matic. Have you ever seen it? So I own one of these, and shout out to Matic. Appreciate them sending me one. This is supposed to be kind of like the idea of like starting with robots for the home as well, and it's a floor cleaner, right?
Mhm.
But they literally have like cameras in the front, cameras in the back, and it uses computer vision and it builds a 3D like mapping image of your home.
Yeah.
And then you can like set it to hit certain rooms and it like looks at different pieces. And the whole thing with them, like I got like one of the first 1,000 units shipped. And the whole thing with them was like, hey, we're constantly going to be sending updates over. So they added like at first like it wasn't getting like a certain corner of my home and they sent an over the air update and like now it could get like that corner.
Yeah.
And so the idea is similar with Tesla, right? Where like they send these updates over the air and then for the robot, like you'll have a robot in your household and then it's like, wow, like the robot suddenly knows how to, I don't know, pick up my kids from school. You know, it's like, wow.
That was the same exact thing too for the 1X Neo Gamma robot. They're a private company right now based in Norway, but they released like a 10-minute video showing what it's capable of and what its pre-programmed abilities were, which were all the things you'd assume. It's, you know, the dishes, trash, answering the door. But one unique thing is that any task it doesn't know, you can connect with a 1X representative and they will remote into your robot and teach it how to complete that task. So the capabilities are endless when it's able to continuously learn and, you know, have software updates and, you know, customer support like that.
I would think like the software upgrades now probably is creating a similar GPT moment. You have like all the like big AI researchers now in the space, and they have like different path towards that like iPhone 4 moment. Kind of like the you have like a great operating system that's going to be intelligence enough that like all the robots get like upgrade and can be like, doing crazy things like you just can't imagine with the current setup, right? So you have like vision language action models. Like I think that's one route, and I think Google's and many others like doing this the world model where they train the kind of like robotic in digital space. So it's very scalable, like millions of training. So it can be generalized in different tasks, then transfer back that model to the real world. So a lot of those model trainings now keep breaking through. You kind of like see the performance improving on the every model upgrade. So you could have that like now those models could be like just GPT-1, right? Then GPT-2, GPT-3 is the moment where everybody realized, oh, this is something unique. So we could see that for humanoid actually going forward.
What happens when you have a humanoid robot and you achieve AGI? Is that the end?
That's the end. That's the end. That's kind of like where Elon said, right? Like, there's no job, no money. Like,
Yeah.
So that's gonna be the end game, unfortunately. But yeah, it's gonna take some time before we get there.
So people say 10 years. Do you think shorter, longer, 10 years?
I would think for that moment it's probably longer. I think like we're gonna see probably in the next 5 years, you're gonna see kind of like exponential growth on deployment of humanoid, right? Like you're gonna see those like in our factory, in our warehouses, in our homes, but that's kind of like then you have that data gathering, right? So they've been doing a lot of work, so they can gather a lot of data. So it's almost like autonomous driving, right? Like autonomous driving take a while, but this is something very different because like the different data gathering and different now AI model training is probably going to accelerate the whole process to improvement. So when you have those like I don't know trillion gigawatts of like data gathered around us, you're gonna see those data is gonna getting some like moments that oh those models like insane. You can't just like I don't know, it's autonomous doing everything around me. I'm like useless. You feel that in a day.
Yeah, I would just echo what Derek said. You know, the more data that becomes available, the more use cases it experiences, the closer we'd inch to AGI. But I'm probably more aligned with the projections that are like 2050-ish, 2045 for AGI. I think that's more of a realistic, but things change and like we all talked about during this whole conversation, you know, advancements are being made every week, more data is being generated every week, more for these humanoids or LLMs to learn from, and that is the end goal, the end result.
Got it. Was it interesting to you guys that they picked Unitree G1 and H1 to be the robots in that video? I feel like that's kind of cool. It's lining up exactly with the one that you guys are parading around.
Yeah, I think like Unitree is kind of like one of the few companies that start the real delivery of the humanoid to the consumers. So that's like I think like leading so far compared to many other companies still doing like protocols or in lab. So like you when you have the products ready to use, right? So that's something I think are very meaningful because that's kind of like real because the consumer gonna use it and see how good it is. It's not like a PPT. It's not a presentation. It's not like just like a demonstration video. It's see it is kind of like use it in your real life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Just Unitree has that first mover advantage, and they're already collecting real world data. You know, we saw Ubitek doing a shipment for industrial use in China. So that's another company that's, you know, getting their product out there in a different sense. But yeah, there's a big race going on right now, and you know, all these companies are trying to capture mind share. So they want consumers to think of them when they think of robots, but eventually when they do get out of this testing phase, this pilot phase that a lot of these companies are in, it's going to be a race for market share. Too early for that now, I'd say, since there's only a couple players actually shipping the products right now. But I think these companies at this moment are more worried about mind share among consumers and companies and just getting a final product ready for shipment.
Got it. Derek, I asked this question to Cole earlier. If there was a stock or two that sits inside of these ETFs that you think goes underlooked and you're glad it's in the basket, what would you point to kind of one of the more overlooked stocks in these baskets?
Well, I think like I would first I want to mention that actually I probably we talked I think Cole mentioned yesterday that in AGX is a AI portfolio that we not only invest in the public equities, but we have like private companies in that. So like traditional investors, like everyday investor, they probably it's hard for them to get access. For example, we invest in Anthropic and also XAI. Those like two important foundational model companies. So those are kind of like an innovative way for you think about that. Like traditionally, only institutional investors they get access to those companies through a private fund, right? You have to be a credit investor. You have to lock up your money for like 10 years, since like paying like 220. But we think as kind of like a global benchmark for AI, AGX should get those exposure because like those exposure are very critical for a complete AI ecosystem. So Anthropic, I have a personal like views like this is probably the most important AI company at this stage, given their capability in the enterprise world. They can provide like the probably the best, I would think one of the best AI coding capabilities. So think about like how many like software engineer out there in the tech company. A lot of those like performance going to be enhanced by Anthropic's API or like Cloud Code. Those are massive dollars going to be earned by this like incorporation. So for Ajax is that's kind of like the two unique companies I want to mention. XAI, of course, like people probably if you're using Grok, you're familiar with that. Like, but also Grok has been really entering the enterprise world. For KOID, I want to mention that like there's some like sensor companies like that's really I think quite interesting because like the Melexis is like also a European company. They offer the tactile sensing like chips. So the tactile is very important because think about that like I think the most valuable component for humanoid is the hand, right? And the hand is important, but like the how the hand actually can be very it's very complicated. But like I think most important technology is the tactile sensor. So it's getting the proximity of the sensory, and it unlock a lot of possibility for the hand. Think about like the legs probably can be replaced by wheels, but like the hand is the core for any humanoid going forward. If you need like mass production, just like Elon Musk said, like the hand is probably the most difficult problem to solve. So I think any technology company that's really critical in global market share that involved in the hand for humanoid is gonna do well, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and I think there, just to really emphasize a couple points from Derek. At Crane Shares, what we want to do is provide differentiated exposure in our ETFs. We want to give you a basket of stocks that you can't really get anywhere else and maybe hard to access. So like Derek mentioned, the private names, Anthropic and XAI and the AGIX, and then that global exposure as well in KOID. But two exciting areas are definitely the hand. There's this company in KOID called Sensata. They focus on the fingertips. So like you mentioned earlier, the fingernail, they actually focus on the fingertip. But I'm sure you've been seeing, random videos or, highlighting the importance of these humanoids being able to sense what they're picking up. Like if it's something very delicate that can easily be broken or, crushed, they want to make sure the hand is capable of sensing that. While as, something that's maybe a little more heavy duty, you also want to be able to sense that as well. So you have technology companies in here that are focused on things as little as the fingertip, which are extremely essential to the humanoid as a whole. And just another bucket of stocks that I'm excited about in KOID would definitely be that rare earth segment. We've seen like stock performance wise in 2025, a lot of headlines surrounding these companies. They've kind of taken off. They're that bedrock of this opportunity and a lot of other tech related opportunities. But the portfolio holds MP Materials in the US, Linus Rare Earth in Australia, and also China Northern in China. So some differentiated exposure there past MP Materials, but that's definitely an exciting bucket of stocks to watch as this opportunity kind of plays out.
Definitely. And I encourage everybody to take a look through these holdings. Everything's on the craneshares.com website. Talked about this beforehand. You can also get the prospectus and the summary prospectus on here. Just go underneath the fund documents and you will be easily able to find those. You can look through some of the performance, which has been great. It's been outperforming this year, both SPY and QQQ, I believe. And inside here is AGIX. You can look at, the private holdings right here that we just talked about, Anthropic, XAI. You can go through all of the holdings, the full holdings right there. And then similarly, once you're on the website, you can go through the product list and you can see all these different products right listed. KOID right here. There's a variety of others, cars, et cetera. And so you can kind of just look through here, go to the holdings. Yep.
It was a little there was a little news story today. David Faber on CNBC, he said, this is rumor has been going around a little bit. Elon Musk owned XAI, reportedly looking to raise $15 billion at a $230 billion valuation. Was the story that was going around today. I don't know if it's confirmed or anything, but it's not confirmed or anything. We'll see if it's coming soon. But as I almost tripped, well, that might change a little in the portfolio soon. So it's a good day to have this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we invested in Anthropic at a $61.5 billion valuation at a Series E round. I think currently there's a lot of now news on the latest valuation gain from Anthropic, and also XAI. We entered the shares through the tender offer round of XAI. So it's very unique, right? Like you basically. I think a lot of people ask those questions, like, how do you value those companies? Those are private, right? So in an ETF, basically it's data liquidity vehicle. Everybody can buy it. So we once we enter those the shares, once we bought the shares of Anthropic and XAI, we have a daily fair value committee that actually assigned a daily fair value to those companies. So then the company can have like a fair value and then translating to the NAV, the net asset value of the fund, so that investors can get a fair price every day to buy those exposures. So yeah, so that's kind of like innovative way to unlock the private market to everyday investors.
Perfect. Perfect. I was just showing as well. This is one of the things I like about this is I find a lot of these names that I wouldn't have even found. Amphenol is not one that I've just done a ton of research into, $166 billion market cap, but it's up almost 100% this year, and it's become, it's moved into the top holding just because that return inside of here, but just something that I wouldn't have gone ahead and done deep dive research into. So pretty cool what you can find inside of these. And then, yeah, like you guys mentioned, pretty great to see all of the different companies raising at incredible valuations, right? It just shows us the bullishness of this industry. I know we're going to move into some wrap up here. Evan, is there any other comments that you want to share? Anything else you want to throw in question wise?
No, I definitely appreciate Derek and Cole for joining in. It's always a great time when we get to hear from them. Yeah, so you guys should definitely go in. A website is a great place to start with any ETF. Go check out the prospectus, the fact sheet, everything like that. Obviously, Crane Shares, very well known for the KWeb, China Internet ETF, but also have a lot of really other interesting products like this that you guys are trying to get out there and talk through this stuff. So we love having smart people come on the show and just share their thoughts, share their thesis. I like to say this each time. I think digging into ETFs is a really valuable thing because this is what smart people say. Hey, here's a sector. Here are names that we find interesting in it. And it's also weighted. So, hey, here's the ones that we find the most interesting to number 50. And then you can go in and dig into yourself there too. So I think there's a lot of value in digging into ETFs, no matter what the outcome is if it's perfect right for you, versus if it's a startup place for research for you to use with smart people who have done the deep dive, so you can kind of start your stuff. So there's a lot of value in this area. I don't know if any of the other products that you guys have any interesting news or stuff that's been going on. Obviously, we had Alibaba earnings this morning. Maybe, yeah, it was earlier this morning. I didn't check it in the stock, but yeah, interesting times. I appreciate you guys joining in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any final comments from each of you? Cole?
Yeah, I'd just say, with Ajax and KOID, there was a lot of thinking and research that went into the building of these funds. The makeup of each fund is very purposeful. We didn't want to make a product that was similar to anything else on the market. And with Ajax, we did that, through direct shares of two major private companies in the AI space. And, we continue to have a pipeline of companies to possibly add to the portfolio as assets grow in the fund, always targeting around 10% of the fund with that 15% cap. But, we just want to provide differentiated exposure to, the next mega trends that are going to impact our global economy moving forward.
Yeah, as like an investor myself, I mean, like I use the AJS and KOID myself because like I will do a lot of research on equities, but like equities can be volatile, can be risky, so a lot of like idiosyncratic risk. I build some like satellite position on single stocks, but like to capture this trend of AI and robotics in the long run, I think I will use a basket approach to really as a core allocation to my personal portfolio. So yeah, I think like that's kind of like more core satellite approach for a lot of investors who want to gain a long-term growth from those very a singular growth opportunity happening right now. I think probably two most important trend in the world. Yeah, so that's kind of like a good approach for investors.
Yeah, I think everybody can agree these are two very important trends. And with this basket approach, it kind of it leads you to believe that you can capture the growth opportunity as a whole. And of course, everybody loves to pick their favorites. I think it's definitely better to hold these as a core part of your portfolio, and then you become the stock picker with that kind of discretionary portion of your personal account. I mean, even personally, like I love stock picking. Like it's just something that I enjoy. And personally, like I'm looking at Palo Alto in 2026 because I think cybersecurity is going to be a huge trend on the back of all these advancements in AI and the rise of agentic AI. We've seen some breaches in the recent days kind of make headlines. So like there's always individual stories, but these two trends as a whole are here to stay. They're going to have a huge impact on the global economy, and they're both very big opportunities, and KOID and AGIX could make a great part of a core holding in the portfolio to capture that.
Well put. Great thoughts shared. Really interesting conversation today. Cool to see robots getting integrated into the biggest channels in the world and kind of all over the place, doing cool things, new stuff by the day, new programming coming through. Excited to see where they are in a year or two. But that's why the opportunity to research them and do your due diligence is now. If you wait a year or two, transparently, everybody's going to be covering them, and you miss out on a lot of that arbitrage opportunity, in our opinion. So that's why it's a great time to go do your due diligence. Again, if you want to research more into KOID and AGIX, you can do so on the CraneShares website. There's also a variety of other videos that we have done in the past, live streams, spaces, things along those lines that you can listen into. And we will be back with more in the near future. Thank you again to Derek and Cole for joining us, Evan for being here as well. That's going to do it for today's live stream. I'm Gav Blacksberg with Wolf Financial Live.